Soska. And I'm Soska. And we're the Twisted Twins.
For the uninitiated, can you tell us a little bit about American Mary? Give us some background on the movie.
Absolutely. American Mary follows the story of medical student Mary Mason, played by the intoxicatedly talented Catherine Isabel from the Ginger Snaps franchise, as she grows increasingly disenchanted and broke, going to medical school and losing admiration for the surgeons she once admired. And the allure of easy money and notoriety sends her into the messy world of underground surgeries and body modification that leaves more marks on Mary's psyche than her so-called freakish clientele. So it's, you know, a typical girl movie, a coming-of-age normal thing. Like, what girl doesn't do this? Like, I have a phone bill, it's insane, I better cut someone up for some money.
Like all our films, it's a family movie.
So you premiered the trailer, I think, at the panel you had this week.
Yeah.
How was it received?
It was amazing. We played it at the beginning of the panel as people were pouring into the room, and the room was packed. I couldn't believe it. It was like they thought Joss Whedon was going to walk in or something, and the reaction was colossal. They just erupted and applause and cheers. It was, after so long of having the trailer and having different versions of the trailer, like for the Cannes Film Festival and for buyers and studios and going to different places, I've seen so many versions of the trailer. So now that it's finally out, I just can't even grasp it. It's amazing. The feedback from everyone's been really strong.
Well, it was 2.5 years to get to this point, and the last part of production is in your editing room, in your sound room, so you're kind of like away from everyone, and you're so enveloped in the material. You're like, well, I was really excited about this, I'm still excited about this, but it's just been like 5 of us in a room. I don't know how anyone outside of the world is going to react, and you're like, oh my god, what is that reaction going to be? And we got that reaction, we got all the reaction that we were hoping for, so we were very lucky. The people at Comic-Con are just great, best people.
So we spoke probably a year and a half ago, and at that time I think you were just at the beginning of this process, and you said that we were going to see some horror first in this movie. I know you probably don't want to give it away, but can you give us any tidbits of what's going to be like?
Well, definitely the subject of body modification. It hasn't been done as body modification in the past. Clive Barker, who's been big into the BDSM and underground scene, he wanted to first approach it when he was doing Hellraiser, but the studios didn't think people would like a literal translation of people that do body modification. They said for that time it was too much, so he changed his vision and created the Cenobites, which was the exact same concept, but in more of a sci-fi fantastical way. We are blending prosthetics with actual body mods in our film. I don't know if it's a first. I mean, if you look back at films like Freaks, they used to do that. It's definitely not something that's been done traditionally. There are some mutilations and some surgeries in our film that you've never seen before, and Catherine Isabel, definitely never seen her like this before.
Well, Jen and I love horror movies, and I find we always sympathize with the killer because they were always these interesting characters. It's like, what would even make somebody like this? And being women, it was always a guy. It was Freddy, it was Jason, it was Pinhead, and I was like, you know how women, sometimes when you upset us, you do this, and we come back with something like this? There's a situation in this film, and I wanted to have a character kind of like Eddie Sheena's character in Takashi Miike's Audition, where it's just like, oh my god, why would she do that? But women do have the capacity for evil. It's just we've been put into this category that we're all sweet and nice and polite, and we don't really venture into the batshit crazy, and it was really important to do the batshit crazy, but in a very realistic way. So there's a few effects you've never seen before. There's a lot of real body modification mixed with the prosthetics or master's effects. So I think people are going to really dig it, but it's not the gore fest that everybody assumes it's going to be, because a grindhouse filmmaking was what we were doing a shout out to with That Hook in the Trunk. This is more of a shout out to European and Asian cinema that's always more beautifully done, more tastefully done. And when you hear body modification, you think it's Oscar or Saw, but this one definitely is.
I have to ask, with body modification, and you're from Canada, Cronenberg in there a little bit at all?
We are huge fans of Cronenberg, and if you would believe it, until about a a year and a half ago, we hadn't seen Dead Ringers, and people were telling us, what do you think of Dead Ringers? You like Cronenberg, what do you think of it? And it's like,
because we're twins, right? Like, where are we, right?
Obviously. And to be fair, when the movie started, I was like, Jeremy Irons and Jeremy Irons playing identical twins. This is going to be pretty weak, but Cronenberg either knows identical twins or something, because the little idiosyncrasies between those two brothers, you have to be a twin or no twins for that. There's we love the robes that they wear in Dead Ringers, the red scrubs, so you will see Mary decked out in red at one point as a definite shout out to Cronenberg, because we love him. There's a lot of little horror shout outs throughout the film as well.
Yeah, well, we're huge nerds, so if you're a big horror nerd, you're gonna be like, oh, that's this, and that's this, and that's that. We just, we like to have movies that have something like on the surface level everyone can enjoy, but if you're a nerd and you want to watch it a few times and be like, oh, wow, that's interesting, that's like this, or that's a shout out to that, we always make sure we put that kind of stuff in.
Like the Dead Hooker in a Trunk, there's a lot of religious undertones, but they're not right there on the surface. But if you want to really get into the theology behind Dead Hooker in a Trunk, it's there. Or you can just get drunk and, you know, enjoy it.
Which is, I think, how most people do.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that why you cast Catherine Isabel too? Because she had this background in horror? Were you looking for someone to play the part who had done it before?
Jennifer and I were relentlessly mocked in high school. Relentlessly. We were teased, we were thrown in lockers. We were called the Fitzgerald sisters at one point, and I had never seen Ginger Snaps, so we went and we went to the movie. We're like, what are they calling us now? And I was like, actually, that's kind of appropriate. I don't really mind being called that. And there was a film being shot in Vancouver, Josie and the Pussycats, and Katie was actually on set that day. And she doesn't even remember this, but she was very nice to me on set. And I was like, I really love this actress. I want to work with her one day. And I kept looking for movies where you saw her in the title role doing something different, because she is such a strong actress. You've seen her act with Halle Berry, you've seen her act with Pacino. She's just amazingly talented, and I never saw that role come. So we actually wrote Mary for Katie, and I'm so happy that Katie's just one of the best human beings I've ever worked with. She's phenomenal. She killed herself in this. We put her through hell, and I watched some of the scenes and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that to one of my best friends. But it's going to be a great film. I think people are going to really dig seeing what she's become in this.
And you guys have a great cult following, and it's been a pretty quick rise, you know, over the last year and a half. Where do you see yourselves going in the horror genre? Do you want to stay in the genre? Do you want to branch out to do other things? Like, what are you thinking about?
We love horror. I mean, I know some people go towards it because of the shtick, but when people said, when did you get into horror, I can't tell you when I wasn't into horror. It's just something we've always found very attractive, and I guess you're always kind of attracted to the dark side. I think more than filmmaking, I love filmmaking. We'll always be making movies. Even if we end up doing a romantic comedy, it's going to have definite horror aspects to it, because I don't think we can do it without.
Well, Dead Hooker, we thought it was just like a road trip movie.
Yeah.
This is American Mary is the closest to a coming of age, almost like romantic movie that we've done, but it's anyone on set, when I was saying that, they're like, no, Sylvia, that's not what the movie's about.
Oh, we saw it we're desensitized, so thank God our mom and our dad will watch our films for us, and if by the time my mom's looking away, I'm like, oh, okay, I think I hit the right mark.
That's what normal people would think of this.
Well, to us, Mary is kind of like an opera, like it's this beautiful, deep, moving tragedy, and to other people it's just haunting and really disturbing, and I guess everyone will get something different out of it.
Yeah, we've never made a movie with an intention of making it a horror. We just... Takashi Miike said that too. He said he's never made a horror movie. He always makes a film and it has horrific elements, and that's why people think it's a horror. But actually, something really exciting happened at Comic-Con. We actually are going to be working with First Comics on a graphic novel series. So that's going to be something new that's really exciting. And then there's a few projects that are coming up that we're hoping for the next one. And well, they're both buddy comedies, but they're some of the most vilest, disgustingest things I think we've ever written, and they're also super gory. So
it's also some of the best like comedy dialogue we've ever written, and I would qualify both of them as comedies, but nobody else will.
No, I think it's still horror, but major prosthetic effects on these guys.
Absolutely, and we'll always be working with Masters Effects.
And last thing, first time at Comic-Con, what's the one thing you've seen that you like blew your mind?
I couldn't get in to see Joss Whedon, but I was outside the room when he came on stage, and there's this huge roar, and you could just feel the energy on the other side of the wall, and I was like, Joss Whedon just walked on stage, and she said no, he didn't, so I checked Twitter, and I was like, he did just walk on stage. I felt him, and he's just had such a profound effect on me because I was a year younger than Buffy. Like any girl that watched Buffy, I mean, I'm a little bit smaller, and made me feel like I could be strong. So I loved being that close to Joss Whedon.
Nerd.
I know. I didn't cry though, almost.
I cried. We actually met some of we Facebook a lot, and we try and talk back and forth with all the people that have been supporting us, because the only reason we're here right now is because we've gotten that support, and actually meeting those people and having them have the DVDs there, like the Dead Hooker in a Trunk DVDs, and actually knowing things from the movie and having the t-shirts. I'm a scary horror director. I'm not gonna tear up. No, absolutely not.
They can cut around you crying.
Meeting those people and actually getting to talk to them and see what the films actually mean to them was the best experience of my life. It was amazing.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you. Where do you go now? What are you doing?
I have no idea. I have